Gilded Age News. I'm your host for this morning, Heidi Whitwer. Now today we have some very exciting news for you folks. In the first half, we have the grand opening of Cyrus McCormick's new McCormick City, his second factory. And we also have the 411 on John G. Shed. Very exciting stuff. Now in the second half, we have a field look at the controversy regarding Gustavus Swift. Now that'll be some very big insight on the meat industry. And then we also have an interview with Upston Sinclair, and we will be talking about his new book, The Jungle, which talks about the meatpacking industry and all the corruption in it. Now that'll go hand in hand with what we find with Swift, so please stick around at GAN News.
Philip Armour, the founder of Chicago's largest meatpacking industry, originally made money in the California gold rush. When he saw how well the businesses in Chicago were doing, he decided to start his own meatpacking business. He and his brother began their businesses, Armour and Company, in 1867. Originally they packed hogs, but eventually they packed pork, thanks to their new factory built in 1872. However, the conditions and the quality of the meat is not as good as they say it is. Armour's packing houses consist of different workstations. Each task is performed by a different person, eventually creating a disassembly line. Animals are hung from a line by their legs and continue along the disassembly line until they are separated into pieces small enough to be packed and sold. Armour also uses all parts of the animals to maximize profit. With the parts of the animal, he produces and sells glue, oil, fertilizer, hairbrushes, and buttons. This reduces pollution from the factory itself, but pollution is created inside the meat. Some of the meat includes rat droppings, dead rodents, or sawdust. That is absolutely disgusting. I can't even bear to think that I have been eating that food. To make matters worse, the slaughterhouses became actual tourist attractions in Chicago. People would come to watch the workers tear apart the animals that are brought into the factory, and they ended up seeing the terrible working conditions that the workers have to deal with. Most of the workers at the factories are just immigrants and are forced to be paid low wages just so that they are paid at all. In 1911, the factory workers were paid $9.50 a week, when the living wage was $15.40. The workers were dispensable, and Armour knew that. In fact, in the factories, work involved sharp knives and struggling animals, which greatly increased the amount of injuries and deaths. The working quarters were so close that diseases such as tuberculosis spread more quickly. He once said, "As long as we are heads of our own houses, we shall employ what men we choose, and when we can't, why, we'll nail up our doors, that's all." Having a boss like Armour would be unbearable, but this is the life the immigrant workforce has to deal with every day. As if he wasn't bad enough, he was involved in the meat scandal in 1898, in which diseased meat was sold to the U.S. Army during the Spanish-American War. Armour was harming his own country. And now let's watch a video of some kids who are too innocent to realize that the Armour meat they are eating is not as good as they think it is.
Hot dogs, Armour hot dogs. What kind of kids eat Armour hot dogs?
Fat kids, skinny kids, kids who climb on rocks, tough kids, busy kids.
Even kids with chicken pox love hot dogs. Armour hot dogs.
Hot dog kids love to fight.
Now that's disgusting. Are you a struggling farmer in need of a change? Are you on the market for a machine that can harvest crops mechanically? Are you sick and tired of having to harvest your crops by hand? Well, we have the perfect product for you. The McCormick Company is introducing the new model of the mechanical reaper. This invention, which was created by Cyrus McCormick in 1831, will solve all of your problems. Now you can harvest wheat in a fraction of the time it took you before, and with less labor force. The mechanical reaper is guaranteed to work in damp weather, so you don't have to miss days of work just because the weather doesn't cooperate. If that doesn't convince you, we also offer money back guaranteed on any item you purchase. Are you concerned with how you're going to pay for this? We have an answer for you. We provide the opportunity for term payments where you can pay most of the fee after your harvest because, as Cyrus says, it is better that I should wait for the money than that you should wait for the machine that you need. Don't wait to buy this amazing product. If you order now, we will deliver the mechanical reaper straight to you via the railroad, and we will give you the free magazine published by Cyrus McCormick himself with the latest expert advice on farming. But wait, there's more. The mechanical reaper has done so well in past years that it won international acclaim at the First World's Fair in London. And even though his factories were burned down in 1871 by the Great Chicago Fire, we know that his company will bounce back stronger than ever with even better machines on the market. And who wouldn't want to buy a product from Cyrus McCormick, who is helping rebuild almost all of Chicago? Don't wait, get your mechanical reaper today.
Now, back to our regularly scheduled programming. Here is an exclusive editorial written by John G. Shedd detailing his rise to fame and fortune through the company Marshall Fields.
I've been getting a lot of mail recently from some angry members of the Chicago community who seem to believe that I've had everything in my life handed to me on a silver platter. Well, I'm here to tell you people that these other folks spout nothing but lies. I've had to work incredibly hard to get to where I am today as president of Marshall Fields, and my life has been anything but easy. And that is why I'm sitting here today, recording to disprove all you naysayers out there. I was born on July 20th, 1850, in the small town of Alstead in New Hampshire. My family didn't have much, and my life in the public schools of New Hampshire was no golden road either. So, after I left my hometown, I traveled to Chicago, which then, at the time, was known as a city where anybody could go to get a fresh start in America. Right away, I was picked up by Marshall Fields to work as a stock clerk in one of their stores in the metropolitan area. Let me tell you what a mess that job was. Running from one place to the other all the time, always having to deal with the broken crap people gave to us, and always being busy. Eventually, though, I got myself out of that sinkhole of a job, and eventually rose up the ranks to become the manager of my own store. Even after that, my hard work and dedication to my job led me even further up the ranks to vice president of one of the largest department store industries in the country. Lastly, around 4 years ago now, the president and my longtime friend at the time, Marshall Fields, finally kicked the bucket, and I was left to run the company. My hard work and belief that I could accomplish anything led me from the farm boy in the small town of New Hampshire to one of the most successful businessmen in all of America. And if that isn't enough to calm all you non-believers, I don't know what will.
Do you know what's in your meat?
Refrigeration is key in producing good meat. Cold air keeps the meat fresh. As you can see, our beef is on ice.
Nice.
At Swift, beef is shipped in boxed cars with the doors left open. The cold air keeps the meat fresh. The railroad wouldn't build refrigerator cars, so we built them ourselves here at Swift.
Swift meats. From the car,
Straight to your fridge. How does that taste?
Delicious.
Well, there you have it, folks. Here at Swift Meats, we ensure that your meat is fresh and delicious. Go Swift!
Go Swift.
And now, here's an exclusive in-the-field report from right outside the Swift meat packing plant from our own Heidi Whitwer. Take it away, Heidi.
Thank you, Nick. I'm currently standing outside Mr. Swift's meat factory here in Chicago. I'm Heidi Whitwer from GAN News. Yes, and we've been waiting to hear a comment from Mr. Swift regarding these allegations against his meat factory, as well as many other meat producers in the city. I've been waiting here for quite some time, and it seems that he has been just in his office. this whole time, not wanting to face the press, it seems like. Now, although these allegations have come out against Mr. Swift and other meat producers, we must specifically thank Mr. Swift for some of his very nice inventions that he has made to the meat industry that has shaped the way it is today for us. First, the first refrigerated car that is able to transport meat to all over the country, making it cheaper for families to have meat in their meals, which really has helped us a lot in our lives now that we can eat meat and it not be so costly and not get disgusting. And also for the mechanicalized slaughter equipment, which is also known as the disassemble line. It cuts, viewer discretion, I apologize folks, that cuts up the meat and makes it into what it is today, like hot dogs and other products that we see. Though, how cheap is cheap that we face with these allegations? Is it really necessary to have these cheap meats, but not have the kind of proper meat that we deserve? Is it fair? Is it fair? Oh, here's Mr. Swift now. Mr. Swift, Mr. Swift. Heidi Whitworth, GAN News. We wanted to ask you about the allegations that you're facing now with the meat industry, saying that your products are not 100% meat that it says on its package. What do you have to say about that?
Oh, it's all lies.
Okay, well, thank you. What about Mr. Sinclair's book, The Jungle? Did you read it? What do you have to say about it?
Oh, nothing but lies. Don't believe everything you see, kids, and read.
Well, there you have it, folks. Mr. Swift clearly revoking all of these allegations as false information. I'm Heidi Whitworth from GAN News, live in the field. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Heidi, for that wonderful in-the-field report. And now, last but not least, we have an exclusive interview with Upton Sinclair, author of the famous best-selling novel, The Jungle.
Thank you. I'm here with Upton Sinclair, author of the best-selling novel, The Jungle. Mr. Sinclair, what inspired you to write this book?
As a writer, I felt compelled to expose things that the public wouldn't necessarily hear about. And that's why I chose to write this book. Nobody really understood what these big money-grabbing businesses were really doing and what they were taking away from industry and what the workers and how the workers felt in their terrible situations, and I wanted to clear the air on these topics.
How do you feel about the way people reacted to your book?
To be completely honest, I feel like people reacted in the completely wrong way. The people of America didn't really focus on what I wanted them to, which was the plight of these terribly treated workers, and instead focus on themselves, worrying about their own food quality and the quality of the meat that they were getting from these companies, rather than the mistreatment of the laborers who produced it. I had aimed for the audience's heart, but instead the message got shoved into their bellies.
What originally made the meatpacking industry so corrupt that things such as those described in your book have been allowed to occur in today's industrialized society?
The people in charge of these meat businesses only cared about keeping their wallets and banking accounts full, as full as possible, no matter the cost. This meant paying them very low wages and hiring immigrant workers who wouldn't dare complain about these poor wages out of fear of their jobs. They also exploited those, such as women and poor children, because of how easy it was to get them to do what they were told. I wanted my audience to see what they consumed on a daily basis was contributing to the exploitation of these factory workers.
Even though the book did not get the reaction you were hoping, would you still publish it if you could go back and have the chance?
Without a doubt. Even though my main message was mostly lost through the meat issue, the message that came through instead, that of poor food quality, came through like a even bigger storm than I had expected, to the point where there were 2 new food quality acts that were passed through Congress because of my work. I even got to meet the president. I would definitely publish the book again if I had the chance.
Well, that'll be all for now, folks. Mr. Sinclair, thank you so much for interviewing with me today.
Thank you for having me. That'll be all for tonight, folks. Thank you all for watching Gilded Age News. This is Nick Monson, signing off.